I am Professor Laine Vignona. I work at the University of Wisconsin River Falls. I'm an associate professor in environmental science and management. And this course is SMGT, Sustainable Management 360, Environmental Policies and Administration. And we are on the banks of the South Fork. The South Fork is a tributary to the Kinnickinnic River, which we are very proud of. It's a tributary, the Kinnickinnic is a tributary to the St. Croix, which is a tributary to the Mississippi, which is a tributary to the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll be talking about current events. And prior to my teaching career, I received a master's degree 20 years ago and decided that I would like to do hazardous waste work. I was doing water quality work, environmental investigations, and cleanups. And my first position was with the New York Attorney General's office, and much to my surprise, I had no intention of doing this. I was working with many lawyers rather than many scientists, and we were providing technical advice to them in environmental lawsuits. A lot of pollution lawsuits were occurring at the time, and so it was not my intention to learn all about environmental policy and administration and regulations, but it just happened. And I found that it came in very handy later on because I went to work as an environmental consultant doing more technical work, actually doing hands-on field investigation, hands-on hazardous waste remediation. And I found that most of the people in the consulting firm where I worked were nowhere near the same page as I was as far as the regulations that they were actually following, the regulations that were responsible for their jobs. And so I became kind of a resource within the consulting firm, which was nice. And then I decided, after about 12 or 15 years of the water quality work, hazardous waste, I worked in the Superfund field for a while, I decided that I wanted to teach and went back to school to get a PhD. So that was a very good and very valuable part of my career, and I think it's helped a lot with my teaching career. And when I came here, I was asked if I wanted to take over the policy class, and I thought that was a terrific idea because it felt so natural. So what do I want you to get out of this class? Well, I often teach this class to students who will be in an agency, will wind up working in an agency, for example, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. I teach a lot of conservation students, environmental science students, and you may not be one of them. You may not wind up working in an environmental agency where you need to know a specific set of regulations. So I'm going to broaden this class. This is a sustainable management class. What I want you to come away with from this class is an understanding of what's mandatory and what's voluntary, where we happen to be going right now, and what the federal government, the state government, and the local government seem to be taking the leads on, who's doing what. Just to give you an example, the Environmental Protection Agency has some very strict hazardous waste disposal regulations, but they have no hazardous waste minimization requirements. If a corporation does that, it's because they want to. And they're finding that there are benefits monetarily. They save money if they conserve water, for example, and it might help them in the field of public relations. It might help them with corporate social responsibility and good citizenship. All kinds of reasons, but still voluntary reasons. And so in this class, I think that you should begin to make the distinction now between what the government actually requires and what your corporation may choose to do, and what the government is, shall we say, encouraging. There are government incentives that I think you should know about that are not the same as regulations. So we need to start sort of pigeonholing regulations, incentives. Voluntary compliance is an oxymoron that I'll talk about some more later on. And I think as far as introducing what we're going to be doing, I think that I've done enough of that for now. And what I'd like to do then is talk to you at the beginning of the different modules about exactly what I have in mind and try to frame each one of those modules before we start looking at notes and assignments. So good luck. We'll be talking on the discussion boards. We'll probably be talking in other ways, and I look forward to working with you.